So we're going to discuss why a revolution can't be televised. And why a revolution cannot be televised is because everything is the mind. And if you want to be direct, there is a big secret. There is a big cosmic secret. There is a global secret. And it's not that these governments, these global elites are trying to hide anything or lie to the people. They're trying to protect the people from the inevitability of who we are. Because the truth is stranger than fiction. Ultimately, you finding out who you truly are will shatter your reality. It will be the end of you, of who you think you are, of who you decorate in the mirror every day, of who you present to society. All of this is just a mirror, is just a play. Because again, everything is the mind. That's why matter is 99.9999% empty space. They've told you without telling you. For everything to be the mind means you are no place. You are no physical place suspended in space, and that's why we associate outer space as the infinite abyss. Your mind is the infinite abyss, and it can go as far out and wide as you'd like. But back to the cosmic secret. The revolution cannot be televised because there is a singular event, if you want to call it that every so once in a while leads up to and cannot be stopped. It doesn't matter who's in power, who's in charge, or who thinks they're in control. This event is what's known as, if you want to give it a name, the singularity. And it's something, again, these governments, these agencies, everyone that's in charge or in a position of power knows it cannot be stopped. However, it can be prolonged, which is what we are doing. But to give people a alternative perspective, no one's lying to you and no one's hiding anything. We have the entire universe at our fingertips. Through the very device we hold and keep in our pockets right now. We can access any book, any point in time, and any place. Thus, you are already that much closer to the singularity. This is what the singularity is about. You're bringing every person, every place, and everything, every time, every dimension into a singular moment, into a singular presence, back into itself, to reveal to you who you truly are. There is no alien coming. This goes back to everything is the mind. You are the alien, the unknown to yourself. And what this moment is the revealing of you to yourself. It is inevitable. And this is what the Ouroboros represents. This is what these ancient symbologies represent. The Ouroboros, the snake devouring itself. Back to Rumi's quote, I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God. Because essentially it is you the whole time. Any philosopher, any truth seeker, any guru, any enlightened one that has persisted enough has discovered the inevitable truth that all are led to. And it's not that we are just one, but it's that you are this immovable force, presence, consciousness, beingness that cannot be traced yet is undeniable. The double slit experiment, the Big Bang Theory, all of these things are us attempting to capture, to measure, to confine our tracelessness, our consciousness into a single recording or into a single confined result. And it's never been done. It's always distorted because What you seek is seeking you. It is you the whole time. There is no inside or outside. You cannot travel faster than the speed of light, because what you're attempting to chase and capture or reach out and grab is only yourself. And the moment you realize this, you will stop this pursuit. You will stop the seeking, the chasing, thus surrendering yourself to what is and always has been, which is here and now. There is nothing coming to save us. But piece by piece, we call it time, but piece by piece, our veil is lifted. And it happens piece by piece because, again, it has to happen gracefully. These government agencies are not trying to lie to you. They're protecting you and your reality. They're protecting you and everything you believe to be reality. There is no shape to the earth. And if you want to honestly take the truth, the true pill, if you want to call it that, there is no thing you're calling the earth. And that's why it can have whatever shape you'd like. That's why me and you can stand right next to each other and you can think or believe with full conviction it's flat or round. And I can believe it's flat or round. Is it a 6 or a 9? It doesn't matter, because it's only you and me, left brain, right brain, here and there. The dual principle is one and the same. It's you the whole time, so it does not matter. The truth is, reality is subjective, and when you understand this, you will no longer need to argue, debate, or prove your truth or your anything to anyone. You will understand truth is subjective, reality is subjective. No one's seeing what they think they're seeing. They're only seeing their own mind. They're only seeing themselves. Which goes back to the Matrix. Do not try and bend the spoon. That is impossible. Then you'll see that it's not the spoon bending, it is only yourself. You're not seeing the objects for what they are. You're not seeing the earth for what it is. You're only seeing yourself. So when you believe it's round and then suddenly you believe it's flat, it's not the object changing, it is only yourself. What you're attempting to change or bend does not actually exist. It's not actually there. And if the where you think you are doesn't exist, then the who you think you are in this place of where likewise does not exist. But again, piece by piece, your veil will be lifted. For some more graciously than others, but again, those who persist enough don't need grace. If you were like me, you want truth immediately, as fast as possible. You want to know now. But then there's some people with the quite opposite. They require grace. They require belief. They require religion. So religion isn't all bad. There is no such thing as good or bad. Is it 6 or 9? Again, it's all you. And that's another bitter pill we don't like to swallow. Is the good principle and the bad principle, the light and dark, the love and the hate, they're all you. But that's the shadow self that we choose not to look into. But there is no fixed position in space, in time, in anywhere. Thus, welcome to infinity. Infinity is chaos. It has no boundary. It has no limit. The moment you create a beginning, you have created a limit. And the only place that limit actually exists is the mind itself. And the only reason we believe in this beginning is because we've believed in ourselves to be this voice that has begun suddenly. And we've associated ourselves and created an identity out of it. We've fallen into the spoken word. these words we use are just, that's just it. They're just containers. 99.99% empty space. The only thing that's filling the words, the world around us, is our mind. Everything is mental. Everything is the mind. There is nothing physical. Goes back to the Matrix. Do you think that's air you're breathing? No, you're breathing consciousness. You stop breathing, as a torus field does, in and out, centrifugal, then you lose consciousness. You are breathing consciousness. But you are not the subject that has created the name, the established identity, the memorized form of said identity through that consciousness. You are the source of that identity, which is consciousness itself. And consciousness is not beginning or ending. You are not what is appearing or disappearing. That's what makes you infinite. And this goes back to what came first, who came first, the bickering, the arguing, the killing over who came first, what came first. There is no sequential order. There is no first or last, because there is no beginning or end. And when you touch infinity, you will understand this fully. There is no boundary, there is no confinement that you'd like to call beginning, and there is none you'd like to call the end. These are just mental boundaries that we believe in with full conviction, and they become our biggest fears. Because what we've identified with and attach ourselves to exists within that boundary, that limit. And when that hourglass gives out, so do we. But when you come to know yourself, when you touch infinity, here and now, you know you're not going anywhere. In this form or the next, it is you. The same identity, the same love, the same enjoyment you have here and now is the same in the next. This incarnation is that incarnation. They're all one and the same. It's you the whole time. And this is why I said in my previous video, there is no truth. There is no truth because truth, reality itself is subjective. Reality, you are in a world of your own. Reality can be whatever you'd want it to be. You are essentially dreaming, though. You're dreaming with your eyes open because, again, the objects you see around you can change, are subject to be changed based on your belief alone. And that tells you right there, your reality is a projection. You are dreaming with your eyes open. To sleep or be awake, it's the same thing. They're one and the same. They're consciousness. To live or die are one and the same. They're consciousness. But you can't know this until you've reached what you've called the end, the death. You must mourn the loss of what you think to be yourself once and for all. That's the whole point of spirituality. Forget all this other stuff, the spiritual practices, the etc., etc. They just reinforce the very ego which you are not. They just distract and prolong you from the actual point of spirituality, which is to know yourself here and now. You go to any person that you call enlightened, and they're not going to entertain your spiritual practices or what you think needs to be done. They're going to keep the focus on who you are and who you think you are. And they're going to make you persist and persist until you have exhausted yourself to the very limit, until you are ready to surrender and realize at last you and this being you are calling enlightened are one and the same. You're not seeing this enlightened person, you are only seeing yourself. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears, because it was you the whole time. That's the point of Buddha. And that was the point of Buddha. These messiahs and symbols that we worship weren't meant to be worshipped. They were showing you the key, the path back to yourself. And that's why they were so loved and adored in their time, because they brought people their own power. They showed people their own superpowers. They didn't show people their own. They inspired people through showing them their own superpowers, by showing them simply who they were. Because when you know who you are, in this infinite aspect, you abolish all boundary, all limitation, which abolishes all fear, which abolishes all seeking, which in turn brings you peace. At last, the key to live, instead of seeking for the way or the answer to life. You've just been merged with it by touching that infinite point, by realizing yourself here and now, because here and now is the only time there is. Any time that you think has ever been recorded has been the here and now moment, has been the very same witness there is and always ever will be. And again, that goes back to the big secret. That is the big secret that these agencies know, which is why they speak through the singular I. The all-seeing I. They're telling you the answer right there. How is it all-seeing? Because again, there's only one witness here. And that's why it's a singular I. They're telling you the answer. But many people in the spiritual community will tell you this logo is bad, it's evil. Stay away. But remember, you are in a world of your own, so everything you're labeling evil, bad, don't look at, stay away. Everything you seek is right in front of you, as is what you most fear. And what we most fear is death, the end of who we think we are. And that's just it. If you persist in your seeking in this spiritual journey down this rabbit hole, it will inevitably be the end of you. When you're honest and ready to admit to yourself at last who you truly are. Because deep down we know something's not right with reality, with life, with something here. And that's why we seek. Whether it's we know something's not right with the government, with the systems in place, with the power, or people in power, with the world, with the universe, whatever. We're unsettled and we know something is not right here. However, it isn't something that needs correction. It's something that needs our attention through us awakening within, through us looking within ourselves, through introspection. Not physically fighting, because again, a revolution will not be televised and cannot be televised. It happens from behind the eyes of mankind. And that's why it cannot be televised. It doesn't happen on your city streets, or in your neighborhoods, or in your stores, or communities that you live in. Physically fighting does nothing. Again, nothing is physical. So when you understand that, the last thing you will try and do is physically fight. You will realize it's mirror facing mirror. It's you facing yourself the whole time. And that's what's most terrifying, is you'll reach a point in the spiritual journey when you realize there is nowhere to go. There is nowhere to run to. Which, again, all these space agencies, these government agencies have hit that point in space, that wall in space, when they realize there is nowhere to go. There is nowhere to run. Everything is essentially a mental projection. And they know this, but there is no polite or logical way of explaining this to people. Which, again, the truth is stranger than fiction. There's no way to tell people that you've just given this education system to that they're nowhere. It makes no logical sense. Everything has to be somewhere. But again, when you're ready, everything you seek is seeking you. And you will be led to it. Not by some coincidental means, but by yourself. Through you, because it's you the whole time. There isn't some conspiracy out against you. It's not you against the government. The final conspiracy is with you and yourself. And some people might say, well, what do you do with this truth? The same thing you did right from the beginning when you started. For me personally, it's ironic because I was right back where I started before I even began the journey of this spirituality. And that's just it. People always go back to, well, what do you do next? Chop wood, carry water. I've worked a job for over 15 years and haven't taken a day off through this journey. You don't do anything. You don't need to escape. You don't need to run to the hills, quit your job, sell your possessions. If that makes you happy, that's fine. But this isn't going to change anything mentally, isn't going to change reality, isn't going to change you having to pay taxes or being financially enslaved to a system. We must realize finances are a man-made system, and that's not the law of the cosmos. So understand, I've played the game of paying taxes and being, a financial asset to a government for over 15 years, but I understand I'm not bound by any of it. Because again, mentally, I'm free. The only place you can ever be imprisoned is the mind itself. When you know, you know. But it took me going deep within myself, facing my deepest fears, mourning the loss of my every belief, the most bitter pill I ever had to swallow, my every most sacred belief being abolished right before my eyes. But it didn't matter to me because I wanted truth. And I was willing to surrender any belief I had if it was not truth. No matter what price I had to pay, no matter what it cost. That's what led to this full awakening. So when people ask me, how do you know this? How are you so sure? When you know, you know. There is nothing that needs to be done. What you will realize is what you are trying to achieve, what we are trying to duplicate, recreate, discover, measure, record, is what has already and what already is. And that's why nothing new is beginning. History is not repeating itself. It is the same being. It is you the whole time. And that's why the same technologies, the same timelines or dimensions or whatever you'd want to call them are merging into each other or seemingly connected to each other. It's not a coincidence. It's you. It's the same being. And we leave ourselves behind symbols to speak to ourselves. Again, a symbol can speak, 100 words without saying anything at all. And that's why we've left behind ourselves symbols like the Ouroboros, the snake biting its own tail, the all-seeing eye, the singular eye with lines illuminating out from it. We've given ourselves the answers, but a lot of people will label these logos, these symbols, as evil, which makes people not want to study them, look into them, or dissect them any further. Lo and behold, that was the answer the whole time. And it's reverse psychology on yourself. It's not some government or some person keeping you from the truth. It was you the whole time. You've put that person, you put this government, you put these veils in front of you to hide from you this very deep secret. You've hidden something here from yourself. And essentially, it is who you are. Another Rumi quote, "Why do you remain in prison when the door is so wide open?" Another Rumi quote, "I am not only in you, but I am you. And no one can understand this until he has lost his mind." Or until they have lost their mind. Sorry, I'm going off memory. What he means by until you've lost your mind is, again, it goes back to everything is the mind. And we've veiled ourselves from everything by creating definition, by creating shapes, absolutes that we would never dare question. And that's what veils are. Our very strongly upheld belief. And that belief is what holds this reality together. And these governments are just as much a part of that glue as your belief. They're not lying to you, they're protecting you. To say the world is a stage is very accurate, but you have more power on that stage than you think. And when you know this, the game changes a little bit and it becomes a little more fun. And again, doesn't mean you quit your job and you're, etc. Because I've had people immediately ask me, well, I still have to go to work and, all these other things. I think you're misunderstanding what an awakening is, what spirituality is. If you're just looking to quit your job, there's college, there's trades, there's all type of opportunities to quit or be financially free. Entrepreneurs, But again, that's not freedom. Finances is not richness. You can have $1 billion, but if your mind is not healthy, if you're not mentally well, it means nothing. Mental health is everything. It's priceless, because that is the true wealth. That is the true currency. Everything is the ment, the mind. Government, mind. They're governing the mind. Employment, they're employing the mind. Enslavement, it's enslaving your mind. The only place you can be enslaved is the mind itself. And again, you're in a world of your own. So the moment you convince yourself, this government, that government, these people, they are doing something to you or have power over you or are keeping some big secret over you, they do. Reality is subjective. But in the end, it's only you facing yourself. It's only you veiling yourself through what you're calling they. You've never seen them a day in your life. Nor will you ever. And even if you did, the final frontier will only lead you back to yourself, to re-examine what you thought to be reality, what you thought to be yourself. The truth is stranger than fiction, my friends. And it's easy to tell you this. It's harder to show you. Only you can show yourself. But I've said in other videos, the question is, how far are you willing to go? How much are you willing to persist? Because remember, infinite space is not an outer space when you look up into the sky at night. It's your mind. That blackness that we think to be an abyss is your mind stretched inside out. That's only a black screen. Just picture it as a TV turned off. The true abyss begins when you start looking within. Then you'll see how far your mind really goes. And you'll also see that when your beliefs start changing, so does what you call reality. And again, if your picture, your reality, is subject to be changed, then you're directly telling yourself what you're calling reality is nothing but a projection, which also tells you something. What changes is not real, and what's real does not change. So if what I'm calling reality is subject to be changed, then this cannot be reality. The only way to get in tune with reality is by finding that which does not change here. And it's staring you in the face everywhere you go. Your construct of the universe, your construct of the atom, your construct of time through the clock. They all feature in the same principle, a fixed singular point at the center with a circumference around it, a circle around it. The central point, and everything revolves around it. It's you the whole time. That central point is your pineal gland, your center, your inner eye, the true eye, what you're seeing everything with. And the circumference is your head, or the outer world, inside, outside, but they're one and the same. You change your belief on the inside, it changes the picture, the reality, the shape, the structure on the outside. Not to anybody else, but to you. Because again, reality is subjective. That is why you are in a world of your own. And again, that is why we can be standing right next to each other and be experiencing two totally different realities. Two totally different earths. But someone who has seen beyond the boundary of what you're calling the earth, knows. You're not seeing anything at all. You're seeing the depths of your own mind. You're seeing the definitions, the shapes of your own mind. You're seeing the 99.999% empty space. This is why we can't measure. We can't measure consciousness. We can't measure ourselves through the double slit experiment or any experiment, because there is no truth. Truth is subjective. There is no way to record it, confine it. Again, it is traceless yet undeniable. There is no place without it. There is no time without it. There is no where, no one without it. We are all the I. That's all for late night thoughts, I guess. Tune in for more next week.